Hello everyone, it's Akira the Cat, and I wanted to talk about what will happen in the future, maybe, possibly, when gaming media or legacy media no longer works or exists, I guess. And I know we have emulators, so that's normally what we would do when we can't access certain games that are no longer available, that are no longer being printed, or they were printed a long time ago and there wasn't that many copies sold. But I kind of wonder, more so in the future, how long these sorts of devices and games and things will last. Because gaming's been around for almost 50 years at this point, and I know we still have systems from the 80s that are still working now, but it just makes me think, like, 10, 15 years from now, are those systems still going to be around? Or so still going to be, a Super Nintendo or a Genesis that somebody has that still works? Or are they all going to be susceptible to hardware failure? And then what? Then what do we have? Aside from emulators, obviously, but it'd be kind of weird to be in a world where we have emulators of consoles that no longer exist, or devices that no longer exist, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what are we going to do at that point? Now, I know that a lot of consoles are backwards compatible, so it isn't as big of a deal, but there are obviously certain cutoffs for a lot of these systems. For example, the PS5 can't play PS3 games. It can play some PlayStation 2 games and PlayStation 1 games, but those are through Sony's servers and backwards compatibility digitally on the storefront. So, and then for Xbox, while it can play all generations of games, it doesn't necessarily play every single game. There may be a game that you enjoy that just isn't available, or it is available, it shows up on the storefront, but you have to have a physical copy to play it. And with the way things are going with a lot of these systems, especially towards the Microsoft and Xbox side, and them being, all digital, whatever. I have a Series S, so, I know from experience that there are some backwards compatible games that I can't play. If you want to play, for example, Left 4 Dead 2, or I think it's Silent Hill Homecoming or something like that, I can see it on the store, but I can't play it. It's just, it doesn't exist. And then it also makes me think of the weird sort of, I don't want to say in between, but the games that came out sort of in the middle of the 2010s, like Skylanders and Disney Infinity, right? How are those games even being played today? Like, I know there are emulators and they're probably like backups of all the characters and items that, you would buy in real life to put on the little portal or whatever. But it always makes me wonder how we are going to preserve certain kinds of technology that don't exist anymore, when the time comes. But it's probably been research done on how to preserve these things the best that we can. And obviously emulators are going to be the best way we can preserve these things. But that's all I wanted to talk about. It's just something that I wonder when I look at my shelf. I'm like, how long will these copies last? Will they last, 50 years, 100 years? I doubt 100 years. They may be dust at that point. But then, the people of the future, what are they going to do if they want to see what those things were when we experienced them? Because I know all emulators don't always work all the time, or, as hardware advances, newer versions get updated, and sometimes those are incompatible with older versions and older games and older hardware. So, but of course, we'll see when the time comes. But I thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.